Superfans spend more money. And obviously, while we want our artists to be creative, we also know this is a business and money needs to be made. This concept of the superfan, and again, a term we've all probably heard, but a term that's been used recently a lot in the industry. I think I read one article that mentioned something about, the music industry is falling all over itself to prove it's all about the superfans or something along those lines. And, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think it is clear that the industry has focused on these superfans. Well, let's talk about that. What is a superfan? Listen, there's no Webster's dictionary definition of this, but I think a good generalization is it's a subgroup within an artist's fan base who are willing to support and pay more for anything related to their favorite artists and pay more than the average fan would. Perhaps stated differently, it means there's extreme brand loyalty, right? Or the economics term, they have a higher average revenue per user. So again, just someone who is not only loyal to an artist, but is going to spend and pay a ton more for whatever they're putting out. So again, that's generally what a superfan is. So what kind of percentage of people are these superfans? Well, you see different studies, but approximately 15 to 25%, 30%. I tend to think it's probably closer to 15 to 20% of the US population are probably described as superfan. And so again, that's important for our industry. And why is it important? Well, again, not hiding the ball, we just discussed. Superfans spend more money. And obviously, while we want our artists to be creative, we also know this is a business and money needs to be made. So again, simply put, superfans are spending a lot of money and are helping to support our artists and support the industry. So what do these superfans buy? Well, again, I said they're more brand loyal, they spend more. Well, they're getting multiple copies of the same albums. They're going to multiple concerts. They're buying VIP packages for these concerts. They're buying large merchandise purchases at either merch stands at concerts or online. They're joining fan clubs. Essentially, they're buying not necessarily whatever, but almost whatever an artist is putting out there. So again, just huge dollars are being spent by these superfans. So let's talk about it. Obviously, some of the positives of this are the industry can focus its efforts on ways that the artist can see revenue and have a lifestyle through their art, right? And focus on these superfans. While we always want our artists to be creative, it's important they make a living. This, an area where we can focus and kind of concentrate efforts to get the most economic return. But there are some negatives to this, and some people have perceived some, pushback to this. And, one major one is there are intensely loyal fans out there that are not super fans, meaning they don't maybe have the spending capacity or economic wherewithal to spend like a super fan, but they may be just as loyal. And if an artist sees a super fan spike and their interest spike but fade quickly, they may want to make sure they haven't alienated their loyal fan base and aren't targeting music just to super fans, because this loyal fan base may have a longer runway. And while the margins may not be as great at first, you can build on those margins and start to grow that loyal fan base. And you'll still see a large revenue stream and perhaps even a longer revenue stream over time. And again, as I mentioned, another negative is people perceive this as taking away some artistic freedom or creativity of artists, traditional push-pull in the industry, right? Artistic freedom versus economic return. So we just want to make sure artists can maintain their creative freedom and can cater to all their fans and really do what they love doing, is making great art. The concept of a superfan has gone on beyond just live touring. There have been, examples of labels that have invested in AI-driven superfan platforms. So again, the superfan is not just in live touring, but it's in all contexts. And I think the industry as a whole realizes this is an area that is important. But, again, we need to make sure artists maintain their creative freedom. We're talking about focusing on the economics here for our artists and their revenue generation. We need a good business manager on board. We need to track those merchandise sales at the concert or online. You need to make sure touring dollars are accurately accounted for. You need to make sure fan club money is accounted for, et cetera, et cetera. Point being is you need a good manager, a strong business manager to be able to recognize that and accurately collect and account for all those dollars that we are working so hard and focusing on these super fans. You need to make sure we account for all those dollars.